Have you ever heard of Primal?
Yes, I have, by Gendy Tartakovsky.
Yeah. I've been watching it. I really like it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm basically done season 1.
Okay, yeah, I've been meaning to check that out too. I
Yeah.
like him a lot.
Really good. It's on Stack TV, but I will say that, and this has happened before with other TV shows, but they have one episode out of order. It like the title card came on and it was like Constantine 3 and I joked, I was like, well, I don't know what Constantine 2 and Constantine 1 were.
Oh, so they actually did, the streaming service got it wrong.
Yeah, it's like late in season 2 and I'm in season 1 and I watched the whole episode and I was like, this feels wrong.
Yeah, something's off here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, a little
Spoilers.
pretty heavily spoilers.
Yeah,
I had to watch 2 episodes leading up to the final confrontation in Constantine 3.
I appreciate you warning me so that I can have a better viewing experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great show. I really
Okay.
like it.
It's like almost entirely silent, right?
Yeah, like there's not English dialogue, basically.
Right, well,
Because
it's
it's prehistoric.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Okay.
Anyways,
Welcome to VCR, Vintage Cinema Rewind. We're bringing old movies to new viewers. I'm Blake.
and I'm still Michael.
Oh,
And
no.
this is still, yeah, I know. I have that expression every single day.
Alphaville.
Yay. We're still doing Alphaville, the weird, low-tech sci-fi noir from the 60s.
Yeah.
Blake's dog just wandered into the room. Hi, Indy. She heard me say film noir, and she came down because she's a huge
Nice.
Humphrey Bogart fan.
Yep.
So anyways, Blake, since you were higher on this movie than I was,
Yep.
Where did you want to start, plot-wise?
Again, I really love the narrator voice, and I like how this movie really drops you off in this world having no idea what's happening or what's going on.
Yeah, there's a couple almost like, what do you call it in video games? Like environmental storytelling?
Yeah.
Where like there's a couple times where like they're reading books with weird titles called like The Crucible of Pain or something like that, or there's like little details that are sprinkled throughout, like the word why doesn't exist.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
only supposed to say because.
Because, yeah, it's to imply like just, fatality or like fatalism of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, there's little like references that even today, you kind of just like inherently kind of get, and then they kind of get turned on their head later. Like in the very first scene, she starts looking through the hotel room and he's like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm just making sure there's a Bible in here. Later on, the one of the big reveals is that the Bible is actually a dictionary, and every day they replace the dictionaries in every room with an ever decreasing number of words in the dictionary.
Right, which is actually, it's very like Orwellian, and like actually I was getting huge 1984 vibes from this book. Like I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Again, it's almost like thought police, where like nobody understands words like conscience.
Yes.
Or even words like love.
Right.
The one scene in this movie, and again, this movie just wasn't totally for me. I didn't enjoy it as much as you did. But the one scene that really made me sit up straighter was the execution scene.
Oh, yeah. That's the one that Jess, who wasn't really paying attention, was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. So for context, anyone who displays too much emotion is put to death, right? They're failing to adapt.
Yeah.
And how do they execute them in this particular society? Do they chop their heads off? Do they hang them? Do they catapult them into the sun? No. They stand them on a diving board, shoot them, and then a team of like 4 women with knives swoop in and like stab them to death.
Yeah, Jess and I actually had to restart the scene because Jess was like, did that guy just get blasted off the end of that diving board? And I was like, what?
Well, it is kind of funny. A lot of these old movies, like I was actually just talking to your wife earlier where you were in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, if someone gets shot in a movie, it's like, like it's a big hole in their chest and blood splatters, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's like the Tarantino-ification of violence in movies. A lot of these old movies, you just hear a gunshot and they fall over and you're just supposed to be like, that guy's dead.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny. Like there's almost no blood in that scene.
Right.
It's like weirdly like comical, but also kind of horrifying in a way.
Yeah.
Like one guy stands up on the diving board, Caution asks someone like, what did he do? He's like, oh, well, he cried after his wife died. It's like, yeah, I guess we should kill him for that. Let's kill that simp. But
and so they explain that to him, and we see like multiple people kind of have this experience, right? And then somebody explains to Lemmy that the other way that they execute people is by putting them in like a big theater and then
Electrocuting the chairs.
yeah, mass electrocuting everybody.
Which I guess is one way to kill someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really wild, like really, they just kind of explain it and then they show kind of like the chairs kind of like rotating because I think they just like dump all the people after.
Yeah.
And it's just like a very visually and like the way it's worded, it kind of just gets in your mind. You're like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't want to die that way. Imagine watching a bad movie too and then you're electrocuted to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think I've had that experience in theaters a couple times. I've seen some movies that are so bad, I was like...
The opener of this movie is really, really good, and I don't know that this works 100%, but it doesn't really spend any time doing any setup with the world that we inhabit, so...
No.
It really feels disorienting at first, and you kind of just have to piece together what's happening at the same time as Lemmy.
I think it does it well enough. You just have to kind of tolerate... I think modern audiences aren't quite trained to tolerate that kind of discomfort.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too because Lemmy he's not really an inquisitive character necessarily.
Which is funny because he's for an investigative journalist wink.
Well, it
was actually kind of funny. Like the first half of the movie, he's getting beat up, taking photos of people,
right,
trying to talk to people. I'm like, this guy's not a very good journalist. And then at one point, he finally just says, "I'm actually a secret agent," and I'm like, oh,
yeah. I mean, I kind of got that at first, like when he was talking about like his mission, basically that he had to do some things.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I'm like, you're not a very good journalist. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I'm like, actually, posing as a journalist is probably good cover for a secret agent.
Right.
Because then you can get up close to people and ask them questions.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's
good job, Lemmy.
And it's not out of the ordinary. I also found, and this is like a minor critique that I had, I was a little disoriented. Like, I couldn't decide if this movie was supposed to be intergalactic or if it was just kind of like alluding to the other countries, and like it kind of like was using some intergalactic type of words with it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, one of the first signs that you're you're dealing with some sci-fi mumbo jumbo is he's driving a car called like a Ford Galaxy or something, as opposed to like a Ford
Mustang.
Yeah, a Ford not Galaxy. There is a couple scenes where like he meets with Alpha 65 and they're asking him questions about like
Alpha 5.
Yes. They're like they're asking him questions like, how did you enjoy galactic travel? It's like, oh, are we on a different planet? But then he mentions the outer countries and he mentions stuff like there's a couple of references to like Earth pop culture. I think he even mentions Dick Tracy at one point.
Yeah, they might. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the movie literally ends with him just driving away.
Right.
I did see there is kind of some debate online where viewers are kind of like, wait, are we in space? Like,
yeah. It's really tough to, I think, make a decisive collusion one way or the other.
I mean, I guess you could argue that they're maybe speaking metaphorically, or maybe he's coming from the moon or some shit.
Yeah, I really didn't know. It's not really like a huge...
I almost kind of feel like it was a deliberate choice just to like disorient people.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny, like they're driving down the highway at the end, and it's like, I don't know, maybe they're going to like a Tesla space station. And they're going to be like launched into the sky, but I don't know.
It's possible.
It's entirely possible.
But yeah, no, I love the intro of this movie, like Lemmy just walking through the hotel and absolutely not letting anybody touch his suitcase.
Right.
Is like hilarious, but also tells you a lot about the character.
Yeah, he does. I keep wanting to call him Harry Call, from The Conversation.
Right.
R.I.P. Gene Hackman. But it's not an entirely unwarranted comparison.
Mm-hmm.
He's a real stick in the mud. I was thinking, it's kind of surprising he didn't make it in Hollywood because, like, he has the perfect mannerisms and look for a film noir detective.
Right. Yeah, he's, like, not conventionally attractive.
No. Not a bad-looking older guy.
Yeah.
Middle-aged man. Sure.
But he's somebody who's very memorable. Like, I'm not going to forget his face.
No, he's definitely a good character actor.
Yeah.
He's also, I did want to mention that, like, there is a lot of, like, scantily clad young women clinging off of, like, dumpy looking middle-aged men in this movie, and I'm like, okay.
All of the seductresses.
Yeah, right? I was a little like, this is definitely a French movie from the 60s.
What I found interesting about that as a side note is that, and I was kind of wondering what Godard was going for with that, because, like, basically all of the women in this movie almost all the women that we see in this movie are just seductresses. And so this world is in part the creation of Alpha 60s, right? But it's also heavily influenced by the maker of Alpha 60,
Von Braun.
Von Braun, who's also Nosferatu.
Yeah, what a fucking name. Doctor. His like real name is Dr. Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Gee, he sounds like a cool guy. We should trust him.
But like at first I also was like, oh, like all of the seductresses are numbered as well.
Yeah.
And then as I kind of realized, it was like, oh no, everybody is numbered in this, because everybody would have to have some sort of number to go into the computer system in order to become like another cog in this machine, because Alphaville is a machine.
There's kind of a funny moment when he's in the hotel room with Natasha or whatever her name is. He's like, I want some breakfast. So she calls the front desk. They're like, what's your number? And he's like, like, don't tell them my number, because he doesn't have one, right?
Right.
She's like, no, they mean your room number. And he's like, oh,
yeah,
344.
Well, and at one point, like I was looking at the numbers and I was like, oh, that's really like interesting. And then they at some point reference it, and it's actually their control number is what it's called.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, that kind of leads us to Alpha 6, the big bad.
Alpha 60.
Is it Alpha 60 or Alpha 6?
No, it's Alpha 60 is the big bad. Alpha 5 is the interviewer. You said Alpha 65 and now you're saying Alpha 6.
Yeah, I don't know. Alpha number, Alpha X. So beta. So anyway, there is a great scene where, he is kind of being interrogated by Alpha 5 and he's being asked, and again, it's essentially like, what do they call it in Blade Runner? Like the Voight Kampf.
Yeah, right.
It's like, you come across a turtle laying on its shell and
right.
Do you blah 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 blah?
Yeah, it's like abstract thought.
Yeah, they want to make sure you're human or not.
Right.
And I was kind of like watching that scene. I was kind of like, okay, so Ridley Scott saw this movie at some point. Like they're asking about kind of like weird questions and like stuff like that. And it's a very like tight kind of claustrophobic room with like 3 microphones over him.
Yeah, that are kind of like moving weirdly around him.
He's kind of like, this movie is very got a very kind of interesting sensibility where there's moments where I'm like, like there's one moment where he walks into a room and there's just a woman in a glass case, like kind of in like a sultry position. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then we just move on, like nobody reacts to it.
Yeah, there's so many like little moments like that, right?
Yeah, or even like the pool execution scene. Like there's a couple moments where a couple, I guess, revolutionaries stand on the diving board. They're like, blah, like, focus on what's right and love and blah, and then they get shot and collapse into the pool.
And everybody around is like high-level alpha citizens.
Yeah,
and
they're all like applauding softly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, good job.
Not even softly. Like, they're like big round of applause every time. It's kind of like this North Korea kind of situation in that sense.
Sort of, yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting how it's sort of like, it almost kind of reminded me of like V for Vendetta, where it's like the not too distant future and we've all devolved into fascism.
Right.
Stop it. Stop it right now. I think fascism is not very nice. And we shouldn't toss revolutionaries in swimming pools.
Well, and the other way that Alpha 60 rules is basically outlawed all free thought and individualism and stuff like emotions and stuff that might evoke emotions out of people, like specifically poetry.
Yeah,
is banned.
Which spoiler alert, that's kind of how he defeats Alpha 60 in the end.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Power of poetry.
The power of poetry.
Got him.
Yeah, I think that if you maybe understood French, that might come across a little bit better. I found that there were definitely some language barriers at times.
Yeah, I had to look up a synopsis to be like, wait, what happened? And it's like, oh, all right, we defeated him with poetry.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I want to rewatch it, to fully grasp everything going on, especially in the last act of the movie. I do find it kind of wild that, in this world, they just constantly are eliminating words, and the implication I think in this world as well is that there's some sort of mind control aspect.
Kind of, yeah. Well, like, especially with like the seductresses, I am kind of like, they kind of give me replicant vibes. Where I'm like, are you a real person or are you slightly synthetic?
Well, and after Alpha 60 is defeated, like all of the people kind of disassociate, like they go kind of crazy.
They start, there is kind of This movie does have kind of a weird black sense of humor where it's like there's some stuff where I'm like, this is kind of funny. Like,
Yeah.
come on, you
Yeah.
got me.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, he destroys Alpha 60 and they're almost like, it's almost like they're airplaning just with their arms spread all over the halls.
Yeah.
I was a little like, is there an earthquake? Like, what's going on? And it's like, oh no, you broke the computer, dude.
Yeah. So
they need a hard reset.
I think that they all have like some sort of like brain chip kind of thing
So
going
yeah,
on.
they're all hooked up to Neuralink, and you know,
Yeah. Well,
that's what'll happen.
well, and this movie leaves a lot to your imagination, right? Because it mentions Natasha wasn't born in Alphaville, but she came to Alphaville. But there's an implication that she doesn't know all of these words and that she wasn't taught love and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and it's a big emotional moment at the end where she's able to kind of come out of the haze and be like, oh, wait, I love you.
Right.
I love you, Lemmy Caution.
The unlovable Lemmy Caution.
Yeah, who's twice my age at least. Yeah.
Oh,
I will say, I would have liked maybe more of a development between these two. And like, I get that the film noir convention is that all women might kill you at any moment.
Yeah.
So would have liked a little more just to like.
Honestly, if this wasn't the 60s, I think that Anna Karina would have had more screen time this movie.
She does have a great moment where after the pool scene, there's kind of something big happens and someone looks over at her and they're like, are you crying? And she's like, no, it's forbidden.
Yeah.
And then she like very slowly like kind of turns her head into the light and you see a single tear
Right.
going down her cheek. I'm like, okay, like I understand why she's a famous actress.
I found her performance like really electric in this movie.
Yeah, she was actually might have been better than Lemmy.
I actually think she was better than Eddie Constantine. I think she's the best performance in the movie. Again, I think that if this wasn't a movie of the 60s, she'd actually would have had more screen time and more character development. And that's just a product of the environment, right?
It's kind of like the Buttercup effect, you know, from The Princess Bride, where it's like women, autonomy.
Jesus.
Let's give the men more to do.
And the other thing I like about Alpha 60 and the idea of Alpha 60 is that it rules by essentially calculating probabilities. Like that basically they kind of throw that out there. What's so interesting about that idea is that's basically how our large language models work now. Our LLMs are AI. They just are calculating probabilities, like what the probability of the next word in a sentence is based on all the words that came before that.
Is that how AI works?
Yeah, essentially. There's a little bit more complicated nuance to it than that, but when you really boil it down to like, if you have to boil it down to like one sentence, that's basically how LLMs work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if ChatGPT had the same voice as Alpha 60?
You probably get it to do that.
Yeah, actually,
so.
you probably could. That's what's fucked up.
And I think that is why I was also so intrigued by this movie is, you know, they're having ideas about how computers might run the world in the future, and they're not all that far off from the way that AI is working right now.
I mean, when you think about just algorithms and like social media and like how technical everything is, you know, it's kind of funny. I had to change the battery in my key fob recently, which, by the way, it's a wireless key fob, right?
Right.
So, but, you know, I was just like, how do I do this? And of course, I just Googled it, or like I went on YouTube, right?
Yep.
You know, we're all essentially cyborgs at this point.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking into digital microphones right now with our laptops open in front of each other.
I really liked all of that. I think the one major thing or scene that I kind of rubbed against a bit was when Lemmy meets up with the missing agent.
Yeah, the fat guy.
Yeah, I found that scene a little jarring and it didn't quite work for me. Like, it was kind of a little maybe too old-timey.
Well, so that's the scene where it's the fat guy and he's like kind of drunk.
Yeah, Henry Dixon.
Henry Dixon, yeah. Lemmy Caution and Henry Dixon.
Yeah.
And he's in his hotel room and like, you know, there's a knock and he kind of like makes them hide behind the door, and then a seductress comes in and they start like boning.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, he kind of like just dies.
Yeah.
I mean, what does he say? He says something kind of poignant, like, you know,
Save those who weep.
save those who weep. Yeah, good line. Good
Yeah,
line. And
yeah.
then it's just the scene just ends.
Yeah. Like, there's some good moments like that. Save those who weep is a really good line.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole thing's kind of like weird, and like, you know, he's kind of explaining things but not really explaining things, which is pretty par for the course of this movie in general.
Right. And then like he's, you know, about to have sex with this seductress, and like It's kind of funny. They kind of frame it as though like the seductress doesn't see Lemmy.
Yeah, but it's like so obvious that he's
it's
there.
like, you know, what's that Oblivion meme where it's like sneak 100? Like he's literally just standing behind the door.
Yeah.
And then I'm not entirely clear how the guy died either way.
He had like a heart attack, I think. or
Well, I
something.
mean, you know, you look at the guy, I'm like, yeah, of course he would have a heart attack. But
Right.
like, that guy, I actually did find that guy was a really good actor. The Henry Dixon.
Mhm.
They kind of, my interpretation was that he kind of got like sucked into just Alphaville and couldn't hack it.
He liked like certain aspects of it, I think. Like he kind of says to Lemmy that if you don't kind of fully embrace the world, then
You die. Or
Yeah.
you may as well kill yourself.
right.
Yeah, so it's like you either adapt or you kill yourself.
Yeah.
He was trying to adapt, but not really.
Yeah.
So anyways,
I had mixed feelings about that scene. I actually didn't know.
I kind of completely forgot about Henry.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? Like,
yeah, like it almost could be a section that you could have cut out of it because I feel like they didn't explore the character in all that much depth. Like if they had added maybe 10 minutes of Henry and Lemmy back and forth.
well, I don't think it really connected to much to the main plot.
No.
It almost kind of felt like a side quest.
Well, yeah, it is a side quest. Like it's kind of like, oh, what happened to your predecessor? But if
don't even worry about it. You know, I get what you're saying. Like that is something where like in a second draft where you're trying to like trim things, you're like, just get rid of this guy.
yeah, or expand on it. Like it's one or the other. I feel like it kind of just didn't quite work as it currently is in the movie. And that's one of my few critiques of the movie, honestly. The rest of it I really, really appreciated.
For me, I found the movie so like surreal and dreamlike that
Yeah.
like I was kind of just like, well, that just happened.
Right.
Anyways, yeah.
There's another really great quote when Lemmy's getting kind of questioned by Alpha 5.
Oh, I know the quote you're gonna say.
Yeah, where Alpha 5's like, what's your religion? And he says, my religion is a spontaneity of consciousness.
Yeah. Oh, okay. My favorite is when he's being interrogated by Alpha 5, and it's just like, what do you love? And he says, gold and women.
Yeah.
I just liked, he didn't say money or like wealth. He said gold.
Right.
Specifically gold.
Yeah. 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 Lemmy is.
He likes gold bars.
Oh, man. Lemmy's such a class act.
Yeah, really. That's up there with like in Casablanca when an SS officer asks Rick what his nationality is, and he just says drunkard.
Well, and the other part of what I like about their interactions together is how Alpha 5 identifies Lemmy as an intelligent person, but also inherently because of his intelligence, and they could use him in this world, but he also is very dangerous to this world because of his intelligence.
Right. They make a point of saying he has above average intelligence.
Right.
Which, like, I believe.
Yep.
You know, there's some movies where someone's like, wow, this character is really smart. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I've been hanging out with him for 45 minutes. And
Yeah. I found that idea very interesting. That's something that I kind of was exploring for the rest of the movie while I was watching. And I was like, yeah, that, you know, if you think about it, a world in which a dictator rules, like let's example Russia, for example, like you don't want intelligent people who can overthrow you very easily.
Yeah, well, I mean, like fascists typically don't like smart, inventive people because
Yeah.
then
They're not as easy to control.
yes, fascists like dumb people, which is why stupid people tend to follow them. That's right, I said it.
But yeah, and they're easy to manipulate, but they're also, you get people who are in positions who are just yes men, right? And so like Alphaville or Alpha identifies Lemmy as like, you know, like this is a person who could do very good stuff for us, but you're going to be hard to control.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like Lemmy's kind of the kind of character where, like, you know, you could give him gold and women, but he
Right.
wouldn't be happy.
No.
He's kind of someone of, like, cynicism and strong ideals. So, like,
Yeah.
you could give him what he wants, but he still wouldn't accept it.
Yeah.
He'd still be like, I guess what I'm trying to say is he's not a pleasant man, but
No.
he does seem to have integrity.
He has principles.
Yeah, so like you can't control people like that. You
Yeah,
know? Well, you
exactly.
can't bribe people like that.
Correct.
You have to kill them
Yeah.
in a pool.
And then stab them in the pool.
You know, I was thinking when they're killing people in the pool, I'm like, oh, it's just like in The Sims when you just delete the pool ladders and watch them drown. That's what I would do.
It's probably from this movie. All of that is I just find so fascinating, and like it exploring kind of those ideas more than I think a lot of Hollywood movies do. Like this movie doesn't just skim the surface of these ideas; it really lets you live in them and explore them.
It's an interesting fusion of like, I did like the film noiriness of this movie, actually.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really a new idea because Blade Runner did it. And I'm sure people before and since have done it. But it's like, let's explore a sci-fi world, but like, let's explore it through like the patterns of film noir.
Right.
You know, wandering around, trying desperately to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of that Chinatown aspect to it.
Yeah, forget it, Lemmy. It's Alphaville.
Yeah.
Jesus, what kind of a name is Lemmy Caution, just while I'm on the subject?
A character from the 1930s is why he is named Lemmy Caution.
Yeah, you're right, actually. It is kind of up there with, like, Dick Tracy.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was created in 1936, so...
Really?
Yeah. He was an FBI character created in 1936 by a British writer.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Well, and I like that this movie explores like the ideas of in this world, everybody has lived in Alphaville for so long that they've all become so brainwashed to what their world will allow and disallow, right?
Right.
It's more like everybody's worker bees than individuals.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of his quote unquote romance with Natasha is like shaking her out of that.
Right, exactly. And then later on, like even Alpha kind of reveals the big grand plan that Alpha has, which is essentially world domination.
Yeah.
It's going to go to war with the outer countries.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like it just sends people to the other countries, and they call it to the other galaxies in the movie to start strikes, revolutions, student revolts, all of these sort of
like what do they call that? Like they're like saboteurs.
yeah. They're like terrorists, but like more insidious than that, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of idea terrorism.
Ew, gross.
Yeah, and so like they've kind of pinpointed Lemmy as like a good person for that, but wouldn't you know it, Lemmy's basically there himself to cause that sort of chaos in a much more
direct way.
Yeah.
Lemmy is not the kind of guy you want against you. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Well, and even in like just exploring those ideas, like, you know, that's kind of what it feels like a little bit on the internet is that there are some very nefarious actors on the internet, and some of them are like probably state funded, that are causing us all to fight and hate each other.
Yeah, it's pretty... Have you seen Superman yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I won't spoil it then, but it's kind of the reason I'm grateful I don't really use Facebook much, or I never really maintained much of a social media presence, is I'm just like, fuck it, you know?
Yeah, because the longer you get into social media and the deeper you get into social media, the further into Alphaville you get.
Yeah, and you never want to go full Alphaville.
You never want to go full Alphaville. Yeah, I don't know. Even like the last act of the movie, I really liked like when he gets discovered as a spy finally. Which feels like it takes longer than it should.
I gotta be honest, like, I don't know that Lemmy's that subtle as a spy.
No, I mean, I love his abrasiveness. Like, he's just taking pictures of people and, like, doesn't care. Like,
yeah, you know, someone who used to take photos of people for, like, magazines, like, you have to at least ask politely before you can do that. Hey, do you mind if I get a photo of you for
this?
this?
Just, like, aggressively snaps photos.
Yeah, like, right in their face, too, with the flash on and everything.
Yeah.
It's
like he's trying to kind of, like, provoke a response from them, I think.
He's like, ah!
Yeah. And once he gets outed as a spy, basically gets sentenced to death, and then there's kind of like him shooting his way through the problem, right? Like,
yeah, that's kind of when you almost kind of get the sense that he's relieved. He's like, I can stop asking. I can just start shooting.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got too. It was like, oh yeah, this is more like Lemmy's kind of style.
Yeah, he's probably like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, really liked that. And then he finds the professor who's actually, and this is maybe another small critique I have, is like, you know, he's on the hunt for this Professor Von Braun, but there's also kind of like hints here and there that there was this legendary guy named Leonard Nosferatu who kind of created Alpha.
Right, but then it turns out Von Braun is Nosferatu, right?
Yeah, they're like the same person, but I feel like it didn't maybe explore the implications of who Nosferatu was before that. Like, it didn't feel like as much of like, oh, wow, kind of thing, right?
I was kind of taken aback, like in a good way, when he's confronting Von Braun at the end, and he's kind of like, you should come with me. And Von Braun's like, no, I can't go to the Outlands. And he just says goodbye.
Yeah.
And then Lemmy just shoots him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, fair enough.
Well, because I think the professor even like also offers him like a seat at the
Right. He basically says you can have all the golden women you want.
yeah.
And Lemmy's like, you can't tempt me with all those gold bars. Like, pow, pow, pow. Actually, like from a storytelling perspective, having a character be offered everything they want and then by the villain and then reject it is almost universally like really satisfying.
It is.
You're
yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
my hero is better than that.
And then after that, the way that Lemmy defeats Alpha 60 is telling it a poem that it can't comprehend.
Yeah.
And that part was a little, again.
You know, Blake, as an English graduate, I feel like I've had similar reactions to poetry. It's like, what?
I feel like the language barrier, like reading it, I don't know that I fully kind of comprehended what was happening.
I would almost like to be fluent in French so I could actually know what the fuck the poem was.
Yeah, like fully understand like the way that they said the poem and like the indentation and all of that. I think that would have probably helped my understanding. But I don't know. I still quite liked it. I really like that Godard just really likes to reference random stuff that I think he just liked. Like Nosferatu. He mentions at some point there's characters Heckle and Jekyll, and I had heard of those, and I was like, why have I heard of those? And they're two like really old like birds from I think the Looney Tunes.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
like real old like animated people. And I'm pretty sure my grandparents had some VHSs with Heckle and Jekyll on them, and that's why I knew them.
I do I'm reading this book right now where every now and then like there'll be a character who will just kind of go on these long diatribes about like silent film and like old-timey French cinema.
Uh-huh.
I can tell like the author just likes talking about this shit.
Right.
And like it's not totally forwarding the plot, but I'm usually like, okay, like tell me more about this weird Lon Chaney movie.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, whatever.
It's fun. I like that he kind of included like those weird references that I was like, I don't know that this actually adds anything to what's happening right now, but I like that it's in there.
I almost kind of, and I don't know this for sure, I kind of feel like sometimes as a writer, you come up with ridiculous names as a placeholder because you know you'll figure something else out later. But then sometimes later on, you're just like, fuck it, it's Dr. Nosferatu.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely have heard of situations like that before. I think the only other like point that I don't know that it quite worked, and maybe it was because of the way that was presented to us, is kind of the neon lights, like the EMC squared. And
there's a lot of like weird, almost kind of like musical numbers. It's not a musical number, but
it's like weird symbolism.
Yeah.
And they kind of just like flash on screen, and I didn't really get why it was popping up. So I had to dig into that, and I guess it was kind of a representation of scientism and like Alphaville's approach to control.
There's a lot of references to like E equals MC squared and shit like that, right?
Yeah, and it's basically like the point is just like, oh, this is a scientism based community where they just are hyper focused on results, basically.
The equations, the hypotheses.
Yeah, and it kind of ties back to like being ruled by probabilities and logic versus having any sort of emotions involved.
Yeah, and I guess like, you know, you kind of see a little bit of that in our modern culture. I certainly don't want to say I'm anti-science because that kind of, you know, you say you're anti-science, so people almost think, oh, so you're an anti-vaxxer or something like that, right? But like, you know, especially in our like increasingly secular society, you know, you kind of see a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Even with like how it seems like the Republicans, at least in America, are almost kind of like priding themselves on how little emotions they have, specifically empathy. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of like, oh, are we having a reaction against emotions now? So anyways, I don't fucking know.
I really liked most of this movie. There's just like a few aspects that didn't work and that I just found a little grating.
Yeah, I found a lot of it grating, but I did really enjoy the vibe.
Yeah.
I was just like, I definitely...
Really cool vibe.
There was definitely a lot of moments in this movie where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I'm having a good time.
Well, and even like the score of this movie is actually really good.
I actually like the score a lot. It's almost like ba-bum, ba-bum.
Yeah. Like it's really bombastic. It has kind of like that a very quintessential like detective vibe to it.
I almost kind of felt like, remember how we didn't like the instrument in The Third Man?
Yeah.
It's almost like someone needs to re-edit The Third Man with this soundtrack.
Yeah.
You know, like da 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 da.
Yeah, it kind of adds like a weird tension to
Kinda,
every
yeah.
scene.
Right? Like all this surreal imagery. There's also just a moment where like him and Natasha are kind of like, it's almost kind of like they're falling in love, but it's just all these quick shots of them almost like, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? They're like kind of waving in each other's arms and like making weird faces. I'm like, okay, Godard, calm down.
Well,
Like,
and there's a lot of like interesting angles that are used in this movie. Like there are a lot of like straight on headshots kind of thing, and it'll just kind of like sit there and observe the character and observe the character observing you.
yeah, and like actually that opening sequence is almost entirely in one take.
Mm-hmm.
The first 4 or 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, I think it's 4.5 minutes is all one take from the time he walks into the hotel until he gets into his room.
Yeah, and that's like really difficult to pull off.
Yeah, because it's even like it's multiple
Floors and stuff.
Yeah. They go through like elevators. Really impressive.
Yeah, no, I liked stuff like that.
Yeah. This is
I
a
just
movie to geek out about a little bit.
Yeah, I just wish I knew what was going on sometimes.
But I feel like that's your general state of being sometimes, though, as well.
Maybe it's because I'm more anxious than you. I'm just like, what's going on?
No, I definitely felt that as well in this movie, where I was like, it just feels so out of the ordinary that it's like, what is happening right now? Why is this happening?
It's almost kind of like Uncanny Valley, where it's like, again, it's not like totally over the top, but it's just, especially going in not knowing about the sci-fi shit.
Yeah.
I was a little like, what am I looking at? Like,
Right.
What's going on?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm a really big fan of this one, actually.
I'm not just saying this for your benefit or the benefit of our handful of listeners, but like a lot of the times we'll see a movie like A Night to Remember, for instance, where I'm like, okay, like I respect it, it's not really for me, and then we talk about it and I'm never gonna think about it again. Right. This movie I think I will rewatch though.
Yeah,
I will.
There's
be
just
like,
something to it.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah.
So sequels, prequels, and reboots. So, like I said, Let Me Caution, based on a character from a novel series. He actually is used in a number of movies, and a lot of them are European-based, most of them being French, but there's a few other countries that kind of made their own, like, Let Me Caution movies.
They smuggled him out of France.
Yeah, he appears in 15 movies between 1952 and 1991. And Eddie Constantine played all of them except for the first one.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
wait. So there was one prior to this.
Yes.
With Let Me Caution.
Yes.
Okay.
And what's kind of interesting about that is this one's kind of considered a little bit of a black sheep in the Let Me Caution adventures. Like this kind of turns the ideas of the Let Me Caution book series and like the character a little bit on their heads. Like, and I was reading it. It's actually really funny. The way that this was written, basically he had a screenwriter write the script for him because the producers wanted to have something to be able to greenlight the movie. And Godard apparently was really famous at allowing his actors to improvise most of their scenes. I read that
too, yeah.
And so a lot of the scenes, performances, and the dialogue in this movie are like really heavily improvised. So he told his screenwriter, like, you know, write me the script for this. And he was like, I've never read a Let Me Caution book in my life. He's like, I have no idea what this character is. And he was like, I don't care, just write me a script.
Right, because I'm gonna improvise it anyways.
Yeah. So he took the script, he handed it to producers, and I don't think he ever even read the script, likely.
That is so fucking funny.
No.
Imagine your director not reading the script.
He didn't use a single thing from the script in the movie.
Wow.
Not one thing that was on
Okay.
the page was translated onto screen.
So how do you feel about that as a screenwriter, right? Well, actually, like, are you going to try that hard if you know he's not even going to read it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Like, again, because it's just not at all playing close to the Let Me Caution character, again, it kind of became like a little bit of a black sheep of the Let Me Caution kind of style of storytelling.
Right, but is it kind of like the style then that they carried forward?
I don't know that they did necessarily. And I
Okay.
think this is like really the only one that's sci-fi based. because I don't know that all of the Let Me Caution movies are really even all that connected to each other. It's more of like this, like almost like Indiana Jones
or Mad Max.
Yeah, yeah, even more like Mad Max. Actually, that's a really good reference.
Thanks, man. I got a couple. I just find that really funny that he needed a script to hand into producers, knowing full well he wasn't gonna do.
And they were pissed after too.
Oh yeah, they're like, this isn't what we gave you money for.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens sometimes, right? Like, I think Sam Raimi lied to the producers about what he was making when he made Evil Dead.
Nice. But with a name like Evil Dead, like, what else are you expecting?
What did you think? Maybe he told them it was like Adventures in the Gumdrop Forest or something. I don't know that he lied, but who knows?
And it's funny too, like Constantine himself, like, he became famous for this character. Like, a lot of his performances were in Let Me Caution's skin. But he actually considered himself a singer first, and an actor was just like a way to pay the bills.
Huh. But he was good at it.
Yeah.
Huh. Was he a good singer?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
To any Eddie Constantine. So.
I mean, he doesn't look like a singer.
No, he doesn't. And maybe that's part of the struggle, right? Like, he is a very distinct looking guy.
Yeah, which, I mean, hey, everybody's distinct looking in some ways, but
not conventionally attractive whatsoever. Other effects in filming, because we're already kind of diving into this. We talked about like the voice. I actually was reading that was based on the reason why they did that was based on a Fritz Lang film.
Ooh.
The follow up to the movie M.
I remember M.
Yeah. So he made a movie in 1933 called The Testament of Dr. Mabuse.
Okay. What a title.
Yeah. So it's actually a sequel to one of his most famous movies, like a silent movie from the 20s. I think it was something about Dr. Mabuse, and they had that voice in that as well. It sounded like actually a kind of an interesting movie. I think Fritz Lang is a pretty famous
He's a
director.
German guy.
Yeah,
he was big. M is a very famous film noir.
Yeah.
He also did The Big Heat.
Yeah.
That's the movie where a woman gets coffee tossed on her face.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Brutal.
So
I was drinking a coffee when I saw that scene.
Oh my
I was like,
put that down.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Fritz Lang movie, actually. I'd like to.
Oh, we should do a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a German filmmaker. We haven't done any German movies yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
we love the Germans on this podcast.
Just except for that one period in history.
Yeah, except for that. But otherwise.
Oh, man.
Imagine if we get a huge audience in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like, the old joke about how Germans love David Hasselhoff. It'll be like, Germans love David Hasselhoff and VCR.
Nice.
Yeah, we're in.
That'd be great. This is actually also the first time that the J-turn was used in a movie.
Really?
So the J-turn being when a car is driving very quickly in reverse, and then it whips around and keeps going forward.
I did see that maneuver, and I was like, I couldn't have pulled that off.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Even with all the help in the world, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah. So first time it gets used in this movie. However, it doesn't get popular until the 70s in a TV show called The Rockford Files. But yeah, no, it's cool that it kind of pops up here first. And they filmed this in Paris with no special sets or props.
I do kind of admire the idea that, and I wonder if it was budget or if it was a deliberate choice, but it's like, we're making a sci-fi movie and it's like, oh, so you need like ray guns and spaceships and shit. And it's like, nah, we're good.
I kind of like that too. Like, keep it super grounded. And I think that there are aspects of like Blade Runner that does that as well.
Yeah, Blade Runner is a bit more ostentatious.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah, but I think that everything's different, but everything's still the same. I really like the aspect of that and not making it look super futuristic. It's like, everything is just as bland and as like...
Everything's just as shitty as it is right now.
Yeah. Like everything is just built for form and not for pleasure.
Everything's built for function.
Yeah, function. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like one of my favorite moments actually in all of fiction is, do you remember that episode of Family Guy where Stewie goes to the future and meets his 40-year-old self? Mm-hmm. And he's just like, whoa, where are the flying cars? And adult Stewie is like, it's only been 30 years. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, the future probably will be banal, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like 30 years is a blip, but a lot of things happen, but then like it doesn't really trickle down all that much like the new stuff. But like, 30 years ago we didn't have cell phones, and cell phones are like this big, huge world-changing thing.
Right? It's almost like a sci-fi kind of thing when you think about it.
Right.
Like in 30 years, we might have self-driving cars, but like, will the average person be able to afford them? Or
Well, yeah, probably. Like, we have self-driving cars now. I think it's more a question of, like, are self-driving cars actually that life-changing of an invention, or are they just going to be, like, some kind of neat little gimmick that people are going to use for a little bit and be like, you know what, I kind of prefer just driving.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
This concludes the self-driving car debate, but
And I think that's why I like movies like this, is because it kind of raises those kind of questions. It makes you think about, like, oh, like, you know, like, this is a movie that is looking into the future, but it also is kind of just saying, like, oh, we don't expect the future to look that much different.
Yeah,
apart
really.
from some cool, like, tech that we might have.
from the ray guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if one day during an address, Trump just whips out a ray gun and it disintegrates a reporter? You're like, oh, we do have that technology.
I think that happened in The Boys.
Yeah, it kind of did.
So, legacy of this movie, we already talked about a lot of this stuff. Like,
Don't say Blade Runner.
I will say that this is part of the Criterion Collection. It's number 25. I think if you're subscribed to the Criterion Collection, every once in a while, I don't know how the Criterion Collection works. I've never subscribed to it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I think that they have just like thousands of movies that are in it, and then they just kind of cycle through them on their app that you can just watch different movies as they rotate through.
Okay.
I think this one's worth. I mean, if you're this far into our episode, you've already either seen this movie or you're pretty intrigued by it. So
Yeah. Hello, we're happy you're here.
Oh, hey, you.
Hey.
I wasn't expecting to see you here.
Oh my God, a person. Yeah. Well, it's nice to see you.
Yeah. Now Michael's going to break into his rendition of Forever Young.
Okay. I'm not going to do that. Okay. You got to subscribe to our Patreon for that. It would be funny if, like, halfway through our longer episodes, we just stopped talking about the movie because we figure no one else is listening at this point.
Yeah.
Be like,
So what do you have for breakfast
Blake,
today?
my IBS is really acting up.
Yeah, I think that this movie inspired a lot of films and a lot of filmmakers.
It is kind of cool seeing movies like this and kind of like charting the trajectory a bit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Like a movie that's both ahead of its time, but like also can't quite achieve all of the technical aspects that it maybe wanted to.
Yeah, maybe. Or, maybe it did exactly what it wanted to.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, for sure. I would actually be interested in a remake of this film.
Yeah.
And I think that you could keep like even the score and some of the aspects of it, but you take basically our contemporary time and you just extrapolate out like, what does AI look like in 30 years or 50 years?
I bet Ryan Gosling would do it.
Yeah.
We could get him to do it.
Probably.
He'll do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to be kind of like a sci-fi guy himself. Like, I kind of wonder if he takes on a lot of roles that I really like. Like, I think he has a similar taste in movies that I do.
Yeah, he seems like he's doing it for the love of the game.
I think so. I actually genuinely think so. And, him and Eva Mendes probably have more money than they know what to do with, but like I think he's genuinely passionate about this kind of filmmaking, and like he does a little bit of art house stuff, he does a lot of sci-fi. A lot of his movies are thinkers.
Did The Nice Guys, where he screamed a lot.
Yeah.
So he can scream when he wants to.
But The Nice Guys even is like a pretty smart movie.
Oh yeah, it's very intelligent.
I think that this would it almost kind of fits in like the smart or The Nice Guys. Like The Nice Guys is kind of in conversation with this movie a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Very vaguely.
Yeah. Anyway, personal reviews and the partner factor. Again, just didn't really pay a lot of attention to this one, except for the pool scene where she was like, "What is happening right now?"
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's the scene where you that's the scene where I came online a little bit more.
Yeah,
I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Speaking for myself, I kind of loved this one. Like, I was really in very quickly, and this is such a me-coded movie. Despite having a few criticisms, and some of them were part of the time, some of them were maybe budget related. But I think overall, this is a really, really good movie that somebody who has a similar taste in film as I do is really going to appreciate something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I did not watch this with my partner. She had to go to work. Yeah, I definitely not as high on this movie as you were. But like I said, I am intrigued. Mm-hmm. Like I think I will go back to it pretty soon.
Yeah, I feel compelled to rewatch it. Mm-hmm. I think maybe what I'll do is wait until I'm going to go see Jason at some point, and I'd be interested to watch this.
You guys
one with
remember
him.
Jason?
Yeah. Again, I think that Jason and I in these kind of movies, like, the heavy into ideas, the sci-fi kind of aspects, like that's where I float more towards Jason.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm the fucking fantasy guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
And there's no good fantasies.
No, there's not. Not before Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, there's like Lord of the Rings. Conan the Barbarian was fine. It was pretty good. I had a good time.
Yeah,
But
I liked it.
it's not like, a necessary stop on any filmmaker or filmgoer's viewing experience.
I've
but-
actually been meaning to rewatch it before we do our top 100 best movies.
Oh, yeah?
Because I seem to recall really, really liking that movie.
I liked aspects of it. You know what I need to watch at some point that I don't think is going to be in my top 100, but
What?
is a movie that I really appreciate? The Never-Ending Story.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen The Never-Ending Story?
No.
I think you would love it because it's like that's
That's
fantasy.
fantasy, yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow I've never seen it.
Oh man, that movie's sick. We should watch that tonight.
We should actually.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Okay.
Okay, well, why don't we wrap this up? We're talking about fantasy
Different movies,
now.
right.
Different
right.
genre.
This is what's going to happen, though. Halfway through, when we figure no one's still listening, we just like.
Start talking about random other stuff.
Yeah, right?
All right. Well, I think that's all of my thoughts on Alphaville. I think I had an absolute blast. I don't know if this is going to make my top 100, but it's definitely up there for some of the more memorable sci-fi films I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. As always, tell your dad,
Tell your dad.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.